I'm Marjorie Stevens, President and CEO for BBB serving Northern Indiana. And on behalf of your Better Business Bureau, we welcome you today to learn about financial wellness and why it is important to your business. Financial wellness programs that help employees better manage their finances and reduce financial worries contribute to a better overall financial well-being for employees, which can have a positive result on your company's turnover, overall work culture, and bottom line. We're pleased to welcome representatives from A+ accredited business First Source Bank of Fort Wayne. We hope you find today's content useful. A few housekeeping items before we begin. Everyone is on mute, so please remain on mute throughout the duration of the presentation. Questions can be submitted anytime throughout the presentation via your chat box. Questions will be answered at the end of the presentation, and there will be time for additional questions. Today's content will be presented by Luis Zapata, Vice President of Financial Wellness at First Source Bank. Luis received an MBA from the University of Notre Dame and a bachelor's degree in marketing from Tecnológico de Monterrey in Mexico. He is active in the community with Bridges Out of Poverty, the Latino Chamber of Commerce, Junior Achievement, and Christ the King and St. Adalbert Catholic parishes. Luis is a 2016 40 Under 40 honoree by the St. Joseph County Chamber of Commerce. He also is a past recipient of the First Source Bank Ernestine M. Ragland Community Leadership Award in recognition of his volunteer leadership and of the South Bend Human Rights Commission's Human Rights Service Award for his contributions in the field of education. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today, Luis. We look forward to learning from you.
Thank you very much for that very nice introduction. One thing that caught my attention was that it's been 5 years since the 40 on 40 thing. So yeah, that makes me feel like I'm starting to push. I made it, just so you know about how old I am. I barely made it into for the 40 or under 40. So yeah, it's interesting how things happen. But thank you so much for that, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to all of you today. It's our pleasure. Another great thing that I heard from the introduction is A+ rated First Source Bank. So I love it. I didn't know we had the A+, but that's great. I teach personal finance at IUSB, and I tell my students they should always push for the A+, not just the A, the A+, be that good. So I'm glad we can make it. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to service the community in Northern Indiana. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started with our presentation on achieving financial well-being. And I'm gonna treat it almost like a case study. So tell you a little bit about our story, how we approach financial well-being, kind of what the problem is out there, what is the issue with personal finance, and what is the struggle Americans have. And then tell you a little bit about what you can do, or how can you structure a program or take ideas on how you can help your employees or help yourself with personal finance and achieving financial well-being. So first, I wanted to bring to your attention what the issue is. This doesn't seem like too bad. 3 in 10 people have no savings whatsoever. That's 30%. Depending on how we put numbers, we're bankers, we play with numbers all the time. But marketers, I have a marketing degree from college. We put a spin, we put graphs, and it depends on how you look at it. But if you think about it, there's no savings whatsoever. That means a little thing can really affect some of the 30%, 30 out of 100. 300 out of 1,000 people can be affected by a small emergency. But what is more troublesome is that a little bit over 6 out of 10 people don't have enough to cover an emergency. So 3 in 10 have no savings whatsoever, but a little bit over 6 out of 10, if they had an emergency, they just don't have enough in savings. So 80%, 8 out of 10 American employees are distracted by their financial concerns. They're thinking about money. They're thinking about their financial situation while at work. 8 out of 10. So if you have a business with 10 employees, I don't want you to point out and try to figure out who the 8 are that are thinking about their personal finance, but most likely, if you look at that, 8 out of 10 of your employees are going to be thinking about that. And 4 in 10 stress about finances daily. That means it's a stressful situation every day, and sometimes they miss work because of a financial concern. So what does that mean? That they don't show up to work. 8 in 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And I want to pause here for a second and give you a perspective on the words of paycheck to paycheck. Living paycheck to paycheck is not necessarily bad if nothing else happens. It means we're being reactive. So you get your paycheck, you can pay your bills, and you move to the next paycheck. But think about what happens behind the scenes, the stressful situation that causes. If you're barely making payments on your needs and some of your wants, there could be a financial shock in your future that can completely change your perspective as an individual of what will happen with your financial situation. 78% of employees will be attracted to a completely different company that cares for them, and specifically that cares for their financial well-being. So if you think about retaining employees, if you're thinking about what could you do, these should be at the forefront of your thoughts. What do I need to do to retain my employees? It's not necessarily about giving a raise, or you have to create good, healthy working environments, but it's also about what happens in their daily lives. We always talk about balance, work and family and all that. That is important, but it's not only about time, it's about money as well. So why should you care? As a business owner, as an employer, why should you care about these statistics? Well, you can, if you care and you're showing that you care for your employees, you can attract more and better people to work for you. Your employees are appreciating more the companies they work for if they care or they have financial wellness programs. You see the value of the financial wellness programs by not having to retrain other people when your previous employees left. Now you have to hire, and you all know what that cost is. Also, productivity. If you think about it, when we're at work, we could be working 10 hours a day or be in the office or out work 10 hours a day, but we're only as good as the product or the output that we come out with. So how much is in our performance affects the overall profitability of the company. So if half of your workforce is spending 3+ hours on their personal financial matters at work, those are 3+ hours that they are not helping your company be productive, right? So if you're financially healthy as an employee, you're not gonna be distracted about my gas going to be turned off. You are focusing on delivering on those orders and taking care of your clients. That's why this is so important. Your employees are gonna be present, they'll be there physically, and not only physically, but emotionally, and they can get more work done. So why do we care at First Source? And this is where I talk about DNA and how things really, really happen for a reason. Every company has a reason to exist. And if you talk about it in very simple terms, well, we all want to make money. That's why we're in business, right? We want to make money, contribute to the economy. It's not bad. We live in a capitalist society, and I tell my students all the time, it is not bad to make money. It is a good thing. You have to be productive. You have to try to start a business, to grow your career. It's important. at first source, in our DNA, in the way we were created, if you will, why do we exist? Our mission is to help individuals achieve financial security, build wealth, and realize their dreams. I gotta be honest, and I think one of a few of my bosses are present in the presentation. So I gotta be honest. I'm gonna make a confession. I'm gonna get in trouble. But probably for the first 5 years in my career here at First Source, I may not have known the mission. I'm not gonna say that I didn't know it, because then I would really get in trouble. But I may not have known my mission, right? But as I got involved with financial wellness and financial education, you know, I stumbled upon the mission, and I was like, you know, this makes sense. We exist to help people with their financial security, to help them build wealth, to realize their dreams. What are the dreams? Getting a home, being debt free. All those are dreams that our people have. And if we help them achieve that through financial education, through our services, through caring for them, we're doing good for them, and we're doing well as a company. So it is because of who we are that we want to promote financial well-being in society. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about a story of how we have always worked with financial well-being, with financial literacy, but how we came to be as a program, or how we thought this is so important that we need to have a devoted department to this particular issue. So we have always, in our story, the other day, our CEO, Chris Murphy, sent me a booklet from the 80s. Our CEO keeps everything. And, you know, he sent me a booklet from probably, I will want to say maybe the 82, something like that, where back then we were showing people how to invest money, how to budget. And it was a big book that I'm going to try to resurface for now in a different format, maybe digital. But we have always done something. We have always tried. As I told you, it was in our DNA. In 2004, Bishop Darcy from the Catholic Diocese of Fort Wayne, South Bend, was really concerned about immigrants, specifically the Hispanic community, being taken advantage by some financial institutions. So he approached First Source Bank and asked for a donation so that we can create a program to help individuals really understand finances and protect themselves. So again, going back to the mission of financial security. So we made that contribution to the diocese, and we started an official program. It took a little bit, but we started a program in 2007, 2008. I started with First Source in 2006. So this donation was before me. But in 2007, Mr. Murphy approached me and said, Luis, can you help us with this? And I partnered with our marketing department and the Catholic Parish of St. Adalbert in South Bend. And we launched a pilot program. And you know, just to be honest with you, this was my side project that the CEO told me to do. So of course I wasn't gonna say no, but it was not my main job. So I had to do it. So I started falling in love with the situation of talking to people, to talking about their finances. We brought people in, we will do a series of workshops, and we started working. And as I was developing my career, managing branches and doing other things, I always kept this side of the volunteerism, if you will, or the programs, talking financial wellness and financial literacy with the community. I had what I'm going to call the savior syndrome, which I'll tell you what that means in just a second. But I thought we would go teach a budgeting class, and voila, the people will be better after I left, right? Like I teach a budgeting class and everything will be fine. So that was my thinking. So I thought I was the savior. I would come in and then everything will be fine. I learned, you know, that that's not the case, but we can influence little pieces here and there. Now we'll talk about it in just a moment. But so fast forward 2014, one of my bosses, Ronzo Wenger, will tell you that I begged, because I literally begged the bank, let me do this full time. There's an opportunity, there's a need, and it makes business sense. And we'll talk about that for a moment. So you know, I appreciate the leadership of our company because they saw, even though we didn't have tangible numbers, you know how bankers, we look at numbers and it needs to make sense dollars wise, and the ROI and ROE and ROA and all those things that you hear. Yeah, it needs to make sense. But they trusted me with, okay, go ahead and start a program, financial literacy full-time. You're gonna get your salary, go out there and promote financial well-being in the community. So we're talking about financial literacy as if we were just going to go and do presentations and that was it. We learned over time that financial well-being is a process. So we stopped calling it financial literacy and we started calling it financial wellness. In 2009, I became vice president of the bank and devoted completely to financial wellness. And so we started implementing different process. And then, you know, it wouldn't be a Zoom conference if we didn't talk about COVID-19 in 2020, right? We're probably here talking virtually because COVID-19. So that presented a challenge. I would be used to see prior to 2020, 4,000 people face to face throughout our footprint, just talking about financial well-being. COVID hits, I get phone calls, cancel presentations, cancel this, cancel that. So we needed to adapt, and we adapted going digital and going electronically. Luckily for us, we were preparing way from 2019 with different programs that you're gonna see a little bit. But you may be asking yourself, what is financial wellness? What is this financial, if you could put it in a concept? People often say, if I had $100,000, if I had $1 million, I know that I said it several times, just give me $300,000, I'll now be the happiest guy on earth, right? We always say that and we put a figure, but it really, financial well-being is not about being a millionaire. It's just a state of well-being where you have minimal financial stress. That's one component of financial well-being. The second one is you have a strong financial foundation where you have little to no debt, you have an emergency fund, and you're living below your means. What does that mean? Well, you're not paying a lot of interest to the banks, even though that's how we make our money, but little to no debt, right? An emergency savings fund. That means that if your car breaks down, you need $800 for the transmission. I don't know how much transmissions cost nowadays, but let's say $800, right? If you have the $800, you're not worried about not being able to get to work. You have that available, right? So if you think about all these, how are you helping your employees achieve this strong financial foundation? How are you helping them live below their means? You could be, well, they're adults. They should be taking care of these by themselves. Unfortunately, these type of concepts are not taught well enough in school. As parents, we often don't know how to talk to our kids about these, or they don't want to listen. I have a teenager, so I know all about that, right? And so they need to hear it from somebody else. And sometimes that work environment is the place where you need to intervene to help your employees get that strong financial foundation and have a plan to meet their future financial goals. We live in a culture where it's about today. Live for the moment, live for today. I always wanted, just a side note, I want to make a rap song out of that. Live for the moment, live for today, but you should plan. I'm a bad rapper, so I'm not gonna do it. But, you know, we want to take care of ourselves right now, but also we need to play for our secure financial future. We have to think about our financial future. So how are we helping ourselves and others to plan for the future? So those are the three components of financial wellness. So how did we approach it in the past? How we did it? How companies, other financial companies do it? Normally you will get approached by a bank and they will say, hey, can we do a financial wellness presentation? Some companies don't get it yet. And what they do is you open your doors and they say, well, you need to budget. We have a budgeting tool online. You should open an account with us, right? That's usually what happens. The problem with that is you lead with sales. Completely wrong. People put their guards up. We don't want people starting to selling. It's about helping with concepts, getting people to know the basic financial concepts, getting them engaged with their own financial situation, and then yes, achieving through financial wellness solutions, through saving money. Obviously they need a savings account, things like that, but it all starts with getting involved. So we used to contact people, plan a presentation, do the presentation, and then follow up with people and build relationships, where it was not about, let's open an account today. It's let's talk about your budget. Let's talk about how you're saving, and help you in the process to achieve financial well-being. Now, obviously we had to evolve, and now we do presentations in person and virtual, and we incorporated the online concept where we help individuals do learn, know, engage, and achieve in at their own pace. We have firstsource.com/advice with a wealth of articles. By the way, this is not a commercial. There's no, don't need to sign up for, something or anything. You can just go to firstsource.com/advice, browse through all our articles, all our calculators, all our over 50 self-study modules that you can take on 5 minutes, and at no cost to you. You don't have to register. You can just browse through it. It's available to anybody in the community, whether you're a First Source customer or not. So we evolved, and we continue to try to build relationships with the individuals that we serve throughout our footprint, because our mission is to help people achieve financial security, build wealth, and realize their dreams. So how's this whole process starts? If you remember what I was telling you at the beginning with my savior syndrome, I would just think, let's engage people with financial wellness workshops, and that's it, right? Everything is going to be fine. Well, it's not quite there yet. Now we have a process. We need to help people understand where they are. So we have a tool that the CFPB created, and we'll talk about it in just a moment. So know your financial well-being score. We help people learn through online financial education that they can do on their own without anybody telling them exactly what they need to learn. They can do it on their own pace. Of course, we often help them engage with financial wellness workshops, and we help them engage and achieve their financial well-being by engaging with a financial wellness coach. And of course, we have financial wellness solutions like a small dollar loan, savings accounts, those type of things. So you take these individuals on the journey of financial well-being by really helping the overall process. It's not about a class. It's not about one time. It's about complete engagement with individuals. So how does that look? I recommend you to do a little bit of research or Google the CFPB financial well-being scale and take it for yourselves. See how you stack compared to the American average. So if you Google CFPB financial well-being scale, you can take a 10 question survey and then know where you are. But really this scale, it's a lot of research that they put on this, and it's a survey that can tell you how you are, how you perceive yourself being with your financial situation. Remember that financial wellness is still, it's how satisfied you are with your financial situation. It has the 4 elements of financial well-being about security in the present and in the future, and freedom of choice. I always make the example with ice cream, but because I'm Mexican today, I'm gonna change it to tacos, right? So let's say that you want to buy tacos. You feel like tacos today, right? What if you didn't have money to buy your tacos today? Think about the feeling. Probably is not an issue for you because you'll be like, well, I could, it's $10, you know, I can, or if you go to the dollar tacos, they have $3, 3 tacos, and then you're good for the weekend, right? But think about if, I know it's a silly example, but if you cannot have that freedom of choice today to enjoy the things that you want, basic things like this, you're not gonna be feeling well with your financial situation. And that makes you not appreciate where you stand, and it starts to stress you out, and then you start thinking about your problems. Obviously, we can make it an example with the gas bill. If you don't have the freedom to pay your gas bill, if you don't take control over yours just days to days, your financial situation, your perception of your financial situation is gonna suffer. And of course, in the future, you need to be on track to achieve your financial goals, because you want to have a nice retirement. You want to have that security that you're going to be able to live and you're not going to be asking for help when you can no longer work. So if you see all these different components that are playing out, they all become part of that financial well-being. So you need to touch all these different aspects and work with individuals. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how it looks for us, what we offer, so that you can see what is exactly what we're talking about with the whole process. These are screenshots of what you can do with the self-study modules on your cell phone. The website that I mentioned, firstsource.com/advice, open to anybody. You click on the advice tab, you can click on financial education, and you get over 50 different modules. So if you have employees that are concerned about owning a home and considering home ownership, there's a playlist for that. So people can learn, be prepared to talk to a banker, a financial institution, and lower that fear and take that next step. And if you think about it from our mission, that really helps individuals achieve their dreams, right? You're well prepared. You don't go to a bank and, unfortunately, you don't qualify because you didn't have the paperwork, you didn't know what to expect, you didn't plan, you didn't have a budget. So all these things you're learning so that you can achieve solutions. Workshops. Here, I want to spend a little bit of time telling you about the concepts and give you a few pointers, a few ideas of things that you can do and that you can think of why it's important to have these concepts presented to your employees, or that you learn about them yourselves. So budgeting. Living 8 in 10 people live paycheck to paycheck. What does that mean? They don't have a budget. They just get a paycheck, they react, they pay whatever they need to pay that week or those 2 weeks, and they wait till the next paycheck. Budgeting is looking forward, and it reduces that money-related anxiety that you get, that you don't know what's going to happen. If you budget, you know exactly what you need to do and how much money you need to have in order to pay your bills. So that in itself is very powerful, learning to do that. So how do you learn to budget? Very simple. You have to prepare to create a budget. You cannot just sit in your kitchen table, bring on your bills and be ready. You have to identify money leaks. And this is another thing that you can help your employees with, little things and maybe even comments is, what is your money leak? My money leak was macadamia nut cookies and coffee. 7 in the morning, I will drop off my kids at the school at Christ the King, and there's a Subway that has a drive-through. So I will go to the drive-through and say, hello. And they will say, Luis, we have your cookies and coffee ready for you at the window. So you know what happened. I was going way too much. I was going about 6 times a week. So the Monday through Friday and the occasional Saturday or Sunday, I will escape my wife and say, I'm just gonna go for a quick cup of coffee and cookies. $3.21. Doesn't seem like a big deal. $3.21 times 6 times 52, because there's 52 weeks in a year. That was $1,001 that I was spending on cookies and coffee per year. I bought one of those very nice coffee machines. I bought it on sale, of course, because I'm like that, $60, but it was pretty nice. And now I have my coffee every single, actually, I can show you. I have coffee right here. It didn't cost me, but maybe, I guess if I didn't do the math, but if I did the math, it cost me about 29 cents. You know, I'm a banker, so of course I did the math. It cost me 29 cents instead of the $3.21. And now I cannot have cookies because I'm on a diet, but that's a different story, right? So you prepare identifying money leaks, and before you even do your budget, you need to understand where your money is going. So all these concepts are the ones that you want to be prepared with. Now, to do your budget, what we recommend at First Source and what we will do in a workshop, for example, is understand how much money you bring in. Because people in America, one of the things that surprises me the most is when you ask somebody how much money they make, first they tell you that's none of your business. But if they were going to tell you, right, they will say, well, I make $10 an hour, or I make $40,000 a year, right? But that's not what we take home. And the important number is, how much money do we have available? to spend. You start there and then you do what are my needs and what are my wants. Very simple. The first need that you have, pay yourself first. Save money. How many times have you said, if I have money left over, I'm gonna save it? And how many times do we have money left over? Not so often. We're very good at spending money. We're not that good at saving money. So that's why we have to put it as a line of expense. How? And here's where you can be creative as a business owner on how you can incorporate things like these, concepts like this, to help your employees. How are you going to incentivize people to save? How are you going to guide them to say, do you have a savings account? You should open one. And you know, we can do a payroll deposit directly into your savings account, and then the rest we'll put in your checking. That way, it's kind of like taxes. It's already taken out. You don't even feel it, right? That's something, a little thing that you can do to impact your employees' lives and your own too. Are you automating the savings process? So if you put it as a top priority, then you can put all your needs in order and then all your wants. And then at the end, you realize, okay, I have this much available. I want to spend and I need to spend this much. What do I need to do? If I don't have enough money to cover all my expenses, well, I go at the bottom of my list and I look at my wants. What are the things that I don't necessarily need to have? Like, you know, I don't need to eat out every single day, right? Those type of things that you're identifying, and then you can cut. And I'm not saying, and this is something I say in my budgeting presentations, I'm not a preacher. I got rid of my savior syndrome, and I tell them, I'm not a preacher. I didn't come here to tell you, you need to quit your coffee. You need to quit smoking. The right question to ask yourself is, can I afford this? So another thing is your communication with your employees, with the people that you engage with your kids. Can you really afford $2,600 on cigarettes per year? That may help people realize, well, I can afford $7, but I cannot afford $2,600. So what am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna quit, right? Which is good for your health, but also it's good for your economy, right? Those type of things can be a part of the process. And you can, you know, one of the things that I love about the United States, we have choices. If you don't know, one statistic that I love to bring out in this type of presentation is, how many banks do you think compete with First Source Bank? How many banks are out there? And people often say, well, 20, 30, 100, 300. There's over 5,000 banks in the United States. So we have competition, right? Food, there's competition. If you're not taking advantage of that and getting the best deals, you're leaving money on the table. Another creative program. How can you help incorporate those things, choices, to your employees so they're more selective when they're purchasing, when they're accessing some services, from housing to the basic food or even buying a car? How are you advising your employees through all that? And as you can see here, this was a very simple example of what a workshop will do, or what concepts, not only with a workshop or with engagement, but also how you as a business owners can incorporate these type of things into your day-to-day activities with your employees, right? So we do these workshops. Of course, this has been our main thing that we do. Now we do them virtually through Zoom, through Microsoft Teams. But we also incorporate the concept of one-on-one coaching. And this is another thing that I tell people when we do these presentations. You don't need to be a First Source customer to take advantage of these. Of course, you can see my logos in the back. I work for First Source. First Source pays my salary. So I would love for everybody to bank with First Source, right? But you don't need to, because we understand that with helping you, we're helping our community. Mr. Chris Murphy told me one thing when I started doing these presentations. You know, as a young executive, I was trying to move up my career, and while doing presentations, of course, I wanted to get some sales, and I will do my presentation and say, if you need some help, you know, I'm happy to help you in any banking situation. And Mr. Murphy asked me how the presentations are going, how are things working out in the community? Are you liking what you're doing? And I told him, you know, it's great. I love talking to people, telling them about their finances, but I'm not getting enough checking accounts. I'm not getting savings accounts. I'm not opening accounts. And this is one of the main reasons I've stayed with First Source for 15 years. He told me, Luis, don't worry about that. That will come with time. You make sure that we make our community strong because we're a reflection of the communities we serve. If our community is strong, we're going to be a strong bank. Boom. After that, it was all about helping people and understanding that business will come later. But if we help people, they're going to have, if we help people understand about their emergency savings and save money and then really engage in that concept, they're going to look for a financial institution to start saving money and open a savings account. Most likely it's going to be us because we have been in business with them and we have built that relationship. But that comes first. And this is what I would say our competitive advantage with financial well-being is we really care about people first, and then the business comes later. And when your CEO, the leadership of your company tells you that, and that's how you operate your business, you're free to really, really help and make an impact in the community, right? The same thing applies to you as a business owner, to you as a business executive. If you are leading your company with that in mind, that the benefit of your employees also benefits your company, then you're making them strong. Therefore, our community is strong and your community is going to support you. It's going to give you more business and we all grow, right? And of course, we cannot do this alone. I'm not the only one person that is out there in our different departments working out and helping people. So I want to acknowledge Bob Condon today because Bob reached out to me and said, hey, Luis, we need to incorporate more financial well-being. We need to be more out there. I'm doing retirement and I want to get to know what you do. And here's what I want to do. So Bob, thank you so much for engaging. And as you can see, it's a team. So Bob, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you expect to do in the future?
Sure. Thank you, Luis. I am Bob Congdon. I work for First Source Bank's Retirement Plan Services Division in downtown Fort Wayne. My partner, Jason German, is in Retirement Plan Services at our main office in South Bend. The first thing that comes to mind after listening to Luis with his presentation is just, wow, what a tremendous partner for us. When you think about tax qualified plans, the 401k, the 403b, cash balance plans, our department gets in quite a bit of some of those employee discussions. When you sit down with an employee to get them to sign up for their employer's 401k plan, you often get that feedback that, well, I can't afford to do this. Well, you have to kind of help them walk through their budgeting process. And as Luis has already alluded to, many of them don't have a budgeting process. So it's a lot of employee education about the importance of saving for retirement, working through some of those discussions. And as the father of a 19-year-old who's obsessed with Grubhub and he's got a card, he can go do these things himself. Often the younger generation just does not understand what you're paying in fees to have that food delivered to you when you literally could get the car and go do it yourself. So a lot of what he's touching upon are the things that we get into with some of those participants. So we're in the process, Jason and I, working through a webinar in the future in regards to tax qualified plans, again, the 401ks, the 403bs, and we'll let you know when that's ready. And hopefully we'll be able to go a little bit more in depth on the retirement side, because some of the same conversations that Luis is having here occur when getting someone to participate in their employer's 401k plan. And maybe he's even offering a match. We're leaving money on the table because they can't contribute to these plans. So we'll get into that when we've got that webinar ready. But thanks for the time. And certainly thank you, Luis, for sharing your insight today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And as you heard, this is the approach that we have, is we help individuals with advice, and all of these contribute to the financial well-being of the individuals that we serve. You serve your employees, you serve your team members, we serve them as well. And if we serve them well, everybody benefits. So we have business, of course, we improve the productivity. There's many, many things that happen. It makes business sense. I was gonna just, it's kind of weird looking at my picture over there right now on the screen, but thank God for Photoshop, and that does a good job with that. So I want to take McDonald's Studio for doing a good job with that. So to close my presentation, I'll tell you a little story that I love to tell. Some people that know me have heard this before, but this is going again to what my CEO told me, Chris Murphy, about the long term. Back in 2008, I made a presentation. 2000, yeah, it must have been 2008. I made a presentation for a program called Adelante America through La Casa de Amistad. La Casa de Amistad is a community center in South Bend that helps individuals, particularly in the Hispanic community. And they have a group of teenagers that they will teach them some skills, some life skills to help them in the future. Back in 2008, I was invited to do a presentation. I remember like if it was yesterday. It was at Notre Dame on a Saturday. And of course, I show up there. They didn't have my presentation back then. 13 years ago, you had to send your presentation in advance. And then the thumb drive didn't work because Notre Dame security and all that. So I had to ask. Luckily, we had a branch open. I called somebody to, anyway. I made my savings presentations to the kids and I didn't think anything of it. Remember, back then I was thinking, okay, let's get savings accounts on all that fun. I'm like, well, these are 13, 14 years old. They're not gonna open a savings account. So I just went about my business, gave them my presentation, told them about the importance of savings, and didn't think anything of it. I was branch manager at the airport location, and it must have been about 7, 8 months later. This young girl, 13, 14 years old, comes through the door and comes with her dad. And she comes directly to me. If you have ever been in that airport location at First Source, we have desks that are in the lobby, so you can just walk through to the desk directly. She comes directly to me and say, hey, do you remember me? You know, I didn't remember her, but you know, so you're kind of like, yeah. You were in that presentation with savings at Adelante America, and you know about the importance of savings. And this is my dad. He needs to start saving money. So we're here to open a savings account because we need to save money. We came to see you. Now that young girl, fast forward, she is a college graduate from St. Mary's College. She just started her own business. She has a mortgage through First Source. She's saving money. She's a successful member of society, right? I don't want to claim credit for all that. No, she put her own effort and everything, right? But I want to think that we influence a little bit to help change that story, right? And in the end, it makes business sense because we created that opportunity to build a relationship. And yes, it was a savings account, but now it's a mortgage. And I'm sure we would do a car loan if she ever needs one or something like that, because we have been there. Now I help her with her budget. Now her husband also comes to see me, those type of things. We build that relationship, but it's all about helping people first. I want to tell you this is very, very, very important. Obviously, it's important to me because this is what I do every single day. I wake up, talk about money and about budgeting and about credit. And I talk to kids before these presentations. And I've had a junior achievement presentation talking about debit cards and credit cards and telling kids, you know, credit cards, they're not as cool as, you know, you have to learn to use them, be disciplined. So this is what I do. So I don't know if I convinced you that this is very important, but if you can take something away is that you can definitely have an impact, whether it be that small comment or that little thing that you can help your employees to change their financial situation. And that can make a huge impact in their lives. So hopefully you reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you put a financial program, a financial wellness program together. Or if you just want advice on how you can talk to your employees, feel free to reach out. You'll see our contact information. And with that, I've seen that the chat is popping up. So I don't know if there's yeah, I want to, one side note, I every time I do presentations on Zoom and with the chat feature, I want to see the chat popping, because then I can tell my kid my chat was blowing up, kind of like in their streams. So I can say that. But So yeah, please put the questions, comments, anything that you need. So are there any questions, Nicole, that you want to relate to me or?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a couple in the chat, and then I actually had some that came in before the presentation. Someone could not make it, so they are going to be looking for this question in the recording. But one of the question was that you talked about the 80% of people who think about their finances at work, or you know, the drain on productivity. Do you think those numbers are higher with the work from home situation that a lot of people are in right now, where we maybe are at home, so we're worried more about our home than we are about our work?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been working for home 80% of the time. You know, you're like distracted about that bill that came in. You see the mailman coming up, and then you go get the mail right away, right? So you see that bill, so you're more concerned. You know, obviously you have to have a good balance and a structure of what you do on your day to day. But absolutely, those numbers must be much higher with people working from work, and just the economy in general is putting a lot of stress on different things. So absolutely, they're much higher. So they should be even more concern for business owners and executives to reach out to their employee workforce and see how they're doing, especially if they're remotely.
Thank you. Okay, so another one is, when you speak of 3 hours employers spend on personal financial matters at work, is that 3 hours a day or 3 hours a week or 3 hours? What is that 3 hours?
If I remember correctly, it's 3 hours a week, 3 hours plus. So, you know, it could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Sure.
2 days, but depends on, but it's still, you know, 3 hours of productivity. If you make, you know, if you have productivity per hour for your employee, 3, 4 hours, half a day, you know, on top of the other extra time and over all the other things, it's quite a bit.
That adds up for sure. What are some things that businesses can do to assist their employees in gaining financial wellness? Offering retirement plans, incentive plans if they work towards financial wellness. What are your thoughts there?
So you have to believe in the process yourself and do it for yourself first, right? Especially depending on the size that your business, you take care of yourself, you believe in the process. So one of the things that you can do is incentivize, and whether it be a gift card or, you know, a gift or something. I've learned that people know that they need help with their finances, but unless you put an incentive, people don't actually act on that. So you can help your employees maybe through a savings program where you can say, well, if you save $100, I'll give you an extra 50. And so that we get to 150 in the next quarter. And then by the end of the year, you have about $600 for a small emergency, that type of thing. So those are little things that can be done. And I also provide and connect individuals, have that conversation, make it part of the day-to-day, well, maybe not the day-to-day, but as you have meetings, you want to touch on wealth, right? And your health. You also want to talk about financial well-being and little things. So it's not only about business, but it's also about your personal life, and, you know, bringing some advice, some speakers, some resources, sending links, those type of things.
I really like that. You know, you see a lot of companies that have wellness plans based on their physical wellness, right? So you get those incentives when you have this many steps or things like that. So I love maybe taking that same kind of idea to promote financial wellness. Another question we have here is, other than helping employees understand and implement the concepts you described, how would you apply the same concepts to small businesses, particularly startups? So how can we encourage small businesses to also think about their financial wellness?
This is a very, very important question, because normally we marry the small business owners to the business and we make it one. And there's two separate entities, right? And you need to be okay personally, and so to be okay with your small business. One thing that is crucial is you need to understand what you need to survive as an individual, because that's what you need to get from your small business. So it almost helps you to set your own goals. If you are a business owner that says, okay, I need this much to live, this is my budget, so my business needs to produce these, right? And you need to treat your business as if you were working for your business. It's a different entity, so they are paying your salary so that you can live. So that's one thing. The other thing is take advantage in research, ask a financial advisor, a banker, what resources out there that are beneficial for small business owners. There's a lot of programs for small business owners, small loans that can help you, a small, special retirement plans that have a lot of benefits for specifically business owners. So really not being afraid of having this conversation with a banker and say, I need help. What do you guys have? And talk to your banker, your financial institution. Hopefully that's first source. But if it's not, ask your bank, your financial institution. And if they don't have an answer, well, you know where to find me. I'll have an answer for them.
Good. See, look at that. Silent sales. I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the last question we have from the chat, but certainly anybody can hop on and ask their question after this. But with the statistics you cite, what do you think keeps people from taking their personal finances more seriously?
One is the fear of sharing personal situation with others and not knowing where to start. If you're in trouble financially, which I've been in the past, and that's what fuels me, I know the hardship, and I've been in trouble, and I you don't know where to start. You don't know where to ask for help. So taking that first step, it is very difficult. Approaching someone and saying that you need help. Even when you tell someone that they should seek help, it's very complicated to make that connection. That's why if you remember in the financial wellness process, it was we connect, we present, it engages individuals, and then we build a relationship. Because you're not going to tell me all your personal life if you don't know me. I mean, you just met me, you're going to be like, I don't want to tell you about, why I went to the casino and spent $200 yesterday, that type of thing, right? And so having those conversations take a little bit of trust. And so you need, is like with any relationship, you have to get to know each other. So you have to open the doors. And sometimes, these tie push people away. So, it's approaching them at their place of employment where we're face-to-face. Our former president used to call it belly-to-belly banking, where we will talk, very closely and build that relationship. Because unfortunately, it is troublesome sometimes to just talk about finances in general. Yeah.
My financial advisor has told me that clients often tell their bartender more than they tell their financial advisor until they really establish that connection and know that they aren't going to be judged or shamed or, whatever that may be. You never get judged or shamed by the bartender, right?
Exactly. They just are ready to pour you the next shot.
All right. Well, if anybody else has any questions, please feel free to, hop off mute and ask those. And then if not, Marjorie can close us out.
Okay, sincere thanks to the business leaders who joined us today. We really appreciate it. We hope you found today's content helpful to you and your business, and we appreciate your time. We know how valuable it is for all of you. Hey, you can also follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And for those of you who are accredited businesses, we have an AB only Facebook group and on LinkedIn, so join us. Again, thanks to our Lunch and Learn presenter, Luis, and also to you, Bob, and First Source Bank for sharing your team with us today. We really appreciate it. We're pleased to partner with accredited business like yours. Thank you and have a great day, everyone.